Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Complex Ken TV. Today we are reviewing episode 4, season 6, Married to Medicine. I'm so excited to get into this episode. If you haven't done so already, be sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button below. Be sure to like, share, comment, however you feel. Happy hour ran over a little bit today, so I'm still sipping on this Malibu and pineapple, but I'm still going to get into this episode. So the episode opens up with Mariah, Quad, and Heavenly, and of course they're talking and they're discussing the past 5 seasons and all the conflicts amongst them as ladies and things like that. And I find it very funny that Toya made a very pointed point, and she said that she wasn't gonna bring up the past, but we see later on towards the end of the episode that she still lives in the past when it's convenient for her own personal gain, which is something I'll get into it towards the end. You know, Mariah yet again has said, that she has these receipts that she's going to produce, and, she has receipts, she has invoices. I don't know whether she's ran these invoices through Medicaid, Medicare, Blue Cross Blue Shield. I don't know where she's ran these invoices through, but we've yet to see them. I don't know if she's waiting for the reunion to bring up some bullshit. Maybe she's going to put them on a poster on her wall like she did last season with her picture to be a smartass, but I really think that Mariah doesn't have anything, and everything is just smoke up her ass, because at this point every scene that she's in is just it's so overbearing for me. I really cannot take Mariah at this point. But Heavenly tells Mariah when she inserts herself, I don't want to hear shit that you gotta say. And then Heavenly, of course, tells Mariah to, get her ass out, and begins talking about Miss Lucy again. Talking about her dusty ass. I find it very funny that they don't have Miss Lucy on this season. I guess they don't want us laughing at her, but we've seen Miss Lucy on the lives before, and I think that Heavenly wouldn't talk about Miss Lucy as much as she does if Mariah wasn't giving her so much with Miss Lucy in the background, as far as just being in the fold on her Instagram and her Facebook lives on previous seasons, and just talking pretty much a lot of shit about the other cast and crew. And Mariah's comeback is, pressure wash your dirty ass house and everybody is contaminated, which is, it was a low blow, but at the same time it's not something that I would take seriously, not when you live in like a mansion. I mean, it's not really a big deal. And throughout this season and throughout all seasons, we've pretty much seen this reoccurring thing that Mariah and Heavenly really do not mesh. And if they don't mesh, I mean, it's fine. Of course, drama is good for the show. We don't want the show to be like Love and Hip Hop, and Mariah has said that clearly over time. She doesn't want it to be like that. And as EP, I'll give her that much. I don't want the show to be like that either. A little bit of drama is always good, but I think that the bigger point and the bigger picture in this is, within every scene, it's almost like Mariah she's craving that moment. And I always come back to this, and it seems like a roundabout circle. Quad comes back onto the scene, and she says how the environment was not conducive for her to discuss everything that's been going on with her. In that moment, it was not conducive, but Heavenly says, you know what, it is conducive. Let's make it conducive. Come on out here. All the ladies sit together, and I think we all knew that when Jackie got there, it would kind of be like a kumbaya moment. And Jackie has a tendency to do that with the cast, and I really love that about her. She kind of gives you that motherly figure. She gives you that kind of feedback and that kind of gist. And I think a lot of the cast, they take a lot from her, and I think that she is a strong holder for, the whole entire franchise. When Simone and Quad go and head over to the side, Simone says she's out in the open with her shit. But I just want to say something very briefly. I think that wasn't the only thing that Simone was out in the open with, because she was very out in the open with her edges over here to the side. And I'm just going to point, because if you take a look at it, it just looked like everything was just slipping off. I don't know whether she had a long day. Maybe she got some juices in her head when she was at work in the delivery room, but it just was not a good look. But just because Simone's information and everything about Simone and her relationship is out in the open, it does not mean that Quad wants to feel the same thing Again, referencing back to Sister Circle, Quad, I feel like she feels like there's a lot of comfort there because she can choose to disclose what she would like to disclose and say what she wants to say and keep a little bit for herself. I think on reality TV, and I think one of the things about Married to Medicine is this is a very authentic show. So, with that being said, they want her to air out all her dirty laundry, and I think that she's that one person this season that has that storyline for them to kind of air out, because every season it seems like there's a reoccurring theme for someone to have something going on. But moving on, we see Contessa. She has not yet hired Toya to be her nanny, and I just want to go ahead and throw that out there. This is pretty much, I think this is going to be a running joke for me all season since they about to buy a house. She hasn't hired Toya yet. Toya has not reached out to me to do her resume. I've been waiting on that. I told her I would only charge her $20. I have not heard from Toya's camp, and I have not heard from Contessa because I'm trying to get paid on the back end. But I will let you guys know if I hear from her. But on a serious note, we see Contessa and we see her talking to her father about his sickness and his ailments, and I think that was a very transitional moment in the show. I think matters like that are very, very serious. You never take them lightly, but in talking with her father, you can see in the moment that she's very distraught and they're both upset. Um, you see her talking about his medical options and things that he can do in order to, rather he would like to proceed with treatment, or rather he wouldn't like to proceed with treatment, but either way she would still be there to support him. You also see her discuss how she felt like he wasn't there when she was growing up. She didn't know whether her father was like a secret service agent or what he was, but in that moment that he was sick, none of those things mattered. And to me, I really feel like that was a very, very, I feel like that was a very moving moment in the show. It was very, very, I don't even know how to express it, but it was just very, very touching. We also hear Contessa say that she's considering, or maybe she is getting a mastectomy. Um, I wonder how Dr. Jackie would feel about that, knowing that she has had a double mastectomy herself. I don't know whether or not Dr. Contessa has went through any testing, because I know that some stars, Angelina Jolie has had a mastectomy as well, and sometimes you can test out for certain genes to see whether you have cancer, and that's why some people opt to go ahead and have those procedures done up front so that they can take care of their bodies and things like that. But regardless of what happens, on a serious note, I've been calling her Contessa Tessa, but that's just really a serious note, and I really do wish Contessa and her father the best as far as that goes. Nobody wants to have a sick parent. We see Dr. Jackie starting to plan her Fitney event. We see Curtis come in with his flowers, and she says that he's missing the Louis Vuitton. Clearly, she done let him back in the bedroom, and she done spoiled him. So now he ain't gotta buy no Louis Vuitton no more. She done let him out the doghouse. She done let him move upstairs from last season. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But it's good to see them back together again. And it's good to see their relationship rekindle. Some people go astray, but they are very, very right underneath of Simone and right underneath Dr. Heavenly and Daddy. They are a good couple, and I really do. I wish them the best as well. I think it's funny how during that scene, Dr. Jackie says that she wants to bring people together, and you hear the bells in the background like it's about to be World Wrestling Confederation, and she's saying that everybody is fighting. You got Heavenly versus Mariah, you have Simone versus Quad, and then you have Toya versus Contessa. And in that moment, it's so true. Like, I mean, what else is there to say? So she plans her event. We'll get down to that later. And the next scene, we see Heavenly down to anger management. In my personal opinion, I feel like it's good for everyone to go to therapy. I feel like it's going to give Heavenly some practical and some very good ways to think about the way that she deals with life and the way that her thought process works. I do think that Heavenly is a really good person. I'll always ride with Heavenly, as I've said on a previous video. Heavenly is my favorite out of the cast. I don't care what Heavenly does. She could never do no wrong in my eyes, and I like the fact that she's going to therapy, and I think that it would be a good idea for her to go back to Miami, like her therapist said, in order to just get back to her roots and kind of re-identify with herself and just get a re-identify with herself and just kind of get some kind of gratification out of that and just see where she's came from and where she's at now, because I think that it'll give her some type of humbleness in herself. And somewhere in one of the confessionals, I see Cecil discussing how they were having a PDA in public, and Simone saying that leads back to nothing but sex. And I just want to say this, since we're talking about a public display of affection, let's do a PSA. Simone, stop being mean to that man and give him some puss. Don't act like that. I seen you guys on the gram the other day. You guys were dancing. You and your kids. You look like you were having a good time. So hopefully you are throwing it on him like you're supposed to, Dr. Simone. The Fitney event happens, and even Quad shows up, and that was a big surprise to me. I was not expecting Quad to show up. I do not remember seeing Dr. Aiden there. I don't know. Maybe memory serves me wrong. But I did not see him there, which I really wasn't surprised. It seemed like the episode was progressing and we was getting on at a good pace once that started. After the dodgeball event, with the spouses, Jackie pairs up all the ladies together whom don't like each other, which is overwhelmingly funny. Like, that's something that I would do to my friends. Like, if you don't like each other, we're gonna see how much you like each other if you have to work towards something together. And their confessionals are even more funny. Quad says, she's going to put people together that don't see each other. You deep and you dangerous. Heavenly says she would rather have her teeth pulled. And Mariah says she would rather be paired with Trump. Funny. Very funny. But before they started working out or doing whatever they were doing as teams, I think it's very nice, and I think it's cool that Contessa pulled Toya to the side and said, hey, look, whatever we going through, everything is cool. I think that was a great idea on her behalf. Even though Toya did say that it wasn't the time or the place, I feel like it was appropriate for her to say, just straight up, hey, we cool, we don't have no problems, let's just work together and get through this. Because their issues actually all of their issues except for Heavenly and Mariah, I feel like their issues do not run as deep as Heavenly and Mariah. Those two are the biggest. I think everyone else can build a bridge in order to get over that gap. So we see the cast going through the various fitness routines, and Don't Phone With Me was one of them. And we seen Toya and Contessa win, and then we seen taking shots with Mariah and Heavenly winning, which is funny because the two people that like each other the least won the last event, which was Mariah and Heavenly. So, big shots out to them. Maybe that'll help them get along some more. As we're moving towards the end of the episode, I really, really thought that we were going to end this episode on a very high note. I thought that when this episode ended, there was going to be no drama because everybody sat down together at the Fitney event and everybody was getting along. But the scene comes back on and we're just like surprised because next thing you know, we see Toya and we see Contessa sitting down. And I was not impressed at all by this scene. And because this is the reason why. I feel like Toya had a calculated and she had a premeditated reason for this scene. And I think it was to push Contessa's buttons. And I think the reason that she wanted to do that is simply because I think her and Mariah kind of have this agenda. I don't know what it is, but earlier in this review I said Toya said about her and Mariah's fight during season 1 that she was no longer talking about anything from a previous season. The whole reason why they sat down and had this dinner discussion is because of the simple fact that Contessa said that we're having a party to celebrate, paying our bills. There was nothing wrong with what she says, because a normal person doesn't celebrate paying their bills by having a party to make more bills and to become more in debt. Once again, that job is still open over at Contessa House. She still needs a nanny, Toya. If you want to go over there, holla at me. My team will help you with your resume, and we'll get you in the work field so you can get out there and work. But Toya, if I was Contessa, I'd order every damn thing on the menu, and I'd make your ass pay for it too, because you're simple. You're simple as hell. And then when the lady gets up and walks away, you have the audacity to call her a bitch when she didn't even say anything to you. And when Contessa walked back, I thought she was going to slap the shit out of you, because that's what she should have did. She should have busted you upside your fucking head, because you simple, and you simple as fuck. You know, that's really it for the episode. That's really it for me tonight, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching Complex Ken TV. You already know. Please like, share, and subscribe. I thank you guys so much for your time. Enjoy your evening.